now I think we've all fully arrived. There's something about saying hello and greeting everyone and smiling and waving from a distance and so on. And yet when we come together, when we chant together, when we meditate together for the first time and second time in some cases, then it really feels like we're back together in spirit. We weren't necessarily gone all that far, far, yes, but not mentally far, since we were connecting on Skype, and we were even joking at the last Skype satsang. What will we even talk about when we're all back together? Because we've already talked about everything the whole time we've been away. For those of you who came or listened to the recordings, we just week by week, we updated each other and shared what was going on and so on. But what we can do, which we couldn't do then, is we can share with you some videos of our trip, some videos of the Ananda temples that we visited, to give you an experience, more of a visual experience of what it's like there. Now, it's important to remember that though, yes, on a certain level it's kind of like, hey, we brought a video camera, why don't you watch this nice video of our trip and so on. It's not really our trip. These temples that we're visiting, that you're going to see, it's important to keep in mind the only purpose in doing any of this is to deepen, to awaken, to resuscitate our own inspiration. That's the only reason for doing it. It can be an inspiration to see places of beauty. It can be an inspiration to see what devotees and other Ananda communities have built over the course of 25 and 40, getting upon 55 or 45 years for Ananda village and so on. So that itself is an inspiration, but remember, you're not seeing the temple that the Portland people have, or the temple that the Seattle congregation or the Seattle devotees have. It's your temple also. There was a woman from Bangalore who happened to be in Seattle with her daughter, was able to get to the Seattle temple, walked in the middle of a free lecture on what is Kriya Yoga. She had already taken Kriya. She's still a deeply devoted member of Ananda Bangalore. And she just met Preman and Padma and said, I'm from India and I'm Master's devotee and I've seen Swamiji many times and I'm so glad to be here. What a beautiful temple. You'll see the temple. And all these new people in the audience, the American, like, I came here for stress management. Like, what's all this? And she was so devotional with the altar. She brought all these flowers, and anytime any question or comment came up, she would speak up and say, yes, when Swamiji, we saw Swamiji once in this, and he said, and they told us this when we visited them, Preman and Padma, the leaders there. They said they were so appreciative of the energy that she brought and how naturally she came in, and basically said, this is my temple only. And so, this is something to keep in mind. When you see Ananda village too, it's your village. We joke sometimes after being in India, we learned how to explain it. We're going back to our native place. And I often will say, when people say, where are you from? I'll say California. Even though I realize, well, actually I only moved there in 1999, so the age doesn't quite work out. But we really feel like we grew up in California. And not because it was California, though California is quite nice, but because it's Ananda in California. And so it is your place too. In fact, this very evening, you know Satya, many of you. Satya is boarding a plane headed for the U.S. She is going to land in Los Angeles and begin the pilgrimage of Masters and Ananda's places in California. And so she'll go to Ananda Palo Alto, Ananda Village. Those of you who know Purni, I think Purni's already there, so they'll be meeting there with Daya and Keshava and others. So it's all happening. They are sort of the first pilgrims to make it across the ocean to these places. And so you can too. Yes, I know visas are hard, and yet people always seem to get them. You know, it's the same way coming here for many Americans. The visas are hard to get the kind of visas we normally need to be here long term, and yet people get them. So think of it as your own places also that you're seeing. You can also think of it as, another way to think of it is that what might evolve for Ananda India in time, Ananda Chennai in time, but not as okay, that's what they have, we're going to have it too, because it has to be done in its own way. Each Ananda temple is unique, and sometimes it came from the vision of the members there. In one place, the Ananda Seattle temple, the leaders said, we are not going to take over any old church, we are going to build our own temple. And then in another community in Sacramento, the leaders there and the people there said, we will, not we in opposition, but just saying we will be able to walk to our own temple. It will be a part of our community. It won't be something that we just have to drive across town to be in. It will be, as Master said, home, job, worship, school, all in one place. When he was defining what a spiritual community is, he talked about having that focus of attention. So, another thing too, though, to keep in mind is when we talk about the relatively recent, I was talking with a friend about something that was happening in Ananda's history, and I said, it's only been recently that this is happening, meaning the past 20 years. That doesn't quite sound doesn't sound right, does it? That we can't think of the past 20 years as relatively recently. But on the other hand, there can sometimes be a temptation in the mind to say, oh gosh, I wish I had come sooner. Or I wish I had maybe come in America. Or I could have connected there and then I could have been a part of all those things. If we had come, for example, I wish I had come when Swamiji was still in the body. If we came then we might think, yes, that's nice, but I wish I had come, back maybe 20 years ago. And I myself came 20 years ago. So then we wind up wishing, well, I wish actually I came at the very beginning. And then, well, but that's not enough. I wish I came when Master was in the body. And I bet his direct disciples said, I wish we had come when he first arrived in America, or in India, or when he was born, or even before he was born, so we could be there to meet him. So you see, it goes on like that. There isn't an outer fulfillment that really will do it. Why? Because Master's here, right now. Swamiji's here, right now. And God has said, for your own growth, to get to me the fastest, you need to come now. And before would not have been optimal for you. Now that sounds nice, because I was thinking about, now how can that really be true though? Because it sounds nice and I think it's true, but how could it be true? Other than just requiring faith. Why? Have faith. Okay, fine. But why else? I thought, first of all, remember, Ananda Chennai has a very special place among the communities because it was the last center that Swamiji opened in his lifetime. He can't, in the body, found another city center in any country, but he founded Chennai in response to the energy that Chennai put out. As a friend was saying, she was saying, I think it was the cries of desperation of so many of Master's children here, consciously and unconsciously crying, that brought, crying out, that brought Swamiji and brought that recognition. Of course, the wonderful energy at his talk too. But keep in mind that special place, and keep in mind that there will be devotees who come to Ananda Chennai in 10 years who say, gosh, I wish I came at the beginning. And you all have come at the beginning. So it isn't a question of who came and hierarchy or anything like that, but the preciousness of what you have and what we all have. So remember that too, that the beginning is a precious time. It is, we can't help it, it just is. It's fluid, it's a magical time. So it's a good time to be here, and you are here. And when the people come in 10 years, we'll think of some nice story to say for them, for why it's good to come in 10 years. But the thing is, the good advantage of coming in 10 years is a lot of kinks are ironed out. And you get to have places like this that you can just walk into. But having said all that, one way that it could be true, that it's better for us to have come now, after Master, after Swamiji in the body, is that as you find blessing and benefit from these practices. As you find God through your meditation, attuning to Master, attuning to the line of gurus, and through Swamiji as you feel, then you are demonstrating the truth of this path in your own life and by your own example. You are showing yourself, and incidentally others, that the line of realization, the ray of inspiration and the power of God consciousness continues, even though Swamiji and Master are not in the body. So you're really demonstrating that truth, that it's a true line. Chaitanya never met Krishna in the body. And who knows, he might have sat there in the beginning going, gosh, I wish I was alive when Krishna was alive, and so on. But he found God with Krishna. And he demonstrated Krishna's enduring presence as a vehicle of blessing, even though they weren't together in the body at that time. You see? So it's the same thing. That's a special opportunity that we all have to demonstrate these truths. But most importantly, for our own lives to be made better. So, we're going to take you through the places that we saw, and so that you can see too, rather than just hear about. And Dharmini will be narrating. And the videos, we're going to just play them through, because if we start and stop too long, it will take too long, because we have so much to show you.
I just wanted to make a comment on how wonderful it feels to be here. And, there's such a palpable presence in the room of Master and Swamiji here, of just love. And the thing we could tell people in 10 years is the same thing we can tell people now, which is the presence of love from the gurus is the most healing energy we can tune into. And it's the deepest energy that we can tune into. And that's going to be here now in 10 years. And so all of that is so palpable.